The Patanjali hearing case is happening in Supreme Court, and in an affidavit to the Supreme Court, the government has criticized Patanjali over allopathic medicines. It has said Patanjali questioned allopathic medicines' efficacy, and denigration of a medicine system is discouraged by the government. This is an affidavit that has been filed in the Supreme Court by the Ayush Ministry. Government also said, we asked Patanjali not to advertise COVID cure. Remember, Patanjali during COVID has been advertising its COVID cure. It was promoting coronil as a remedy for the virus until it underwent, even before it underwent proper examination by the Ayush Ministry. My colleague Sunil Prabhu has more on the story. Sunil, now government has come out criticizing Patanjali questioning the efficacy of certain cure of medicines, of allopathic medicines. Tell us, where does this case lead us now? And the government, in fact, has also questioned about coronil and them advertising coronil during the COVID.
That's right. This affidavit comes after the Supreme Court came down heavily on the Department of Ayush as well as the Health Ministry for why they were silent spectators when, lakhs of people were being affected with corona. Mr. Baba Ramdev and Mr. Balkrishna and the Patanjali were saying that they have a cure. They went public with that and criticizing allopathic medicines. And it's in that context that they asked them, what action have you taken? Because as per the Drugs Act, you have to act. You have to not only give a warning, but you have to penalize. There's 6 months as per the provisions of the law, but no action was taken for nearly 3 years, as you are well aware. Lakhs of people died at that time. They were waiting for vaccines. Mr. Baba Ramdev made a huge profit. And it's in this context that the Supreme Court, in listening to a petition of the Indian Medical Association, was asking Patanjali to comply. They failed to comply. And after they didn't give a proper response, they were asked and summoned to the court. Even then, they did not give a proper, explanation in terms of an affidavit. Now they've given today, ahead of the hearing, an unconditional apology. And the Ayush department is now trying to cover its losses. It's trying to cover its losses and say that they've done.
Yeah, Sunil, the government through its affidavit it is also advocating an integrative healthcare system, emphasizing that the individuals could have the choice to avail Ayush medication or allopathic medication. That also seems to be a conflict, because the government in its affidavit, while it's saying that it's apologizing for not having taken action, but they're also saying that, it is individual's choice.
Well, I think you have to read what is the context. In 2020, when there was a pandemic, at that time, Baba Ramdev had gone with this Patanjali to say that he had a cure called coronil. And it's at that context he had criticized the Indian Medical Association, the allopathic medicine. If one can criticize the other, then how do you go forward? The Ayush department is now trying to say that, yes, Ayush is an important aspect. Nobody is doubting that. But it's the context is, does the law apply to Baba Ramdev or is he above board? And that's the crux that the Supreme Court had asked. And that's why this affidavit had to come. The Health Ministry as well as the Ayush Department had got stringent observations from the Supreme Court, and that's the reason for why this affidavit has come. Yes, there has to be a holistic approach towards health. That's a larger question, but we are talking about when lakhs and millions of people were suffering from corona at that time, that this entire episode is playing out, and the role of the government at that stage. What action did it take? Why didn't it do it? This is a contempt proceedings. And this is contempt against Baba Ramdev, Balkrishna and Patanjali for not accepting the highest court of the land.